I'll talk first. I'm tempted, I'll bet we all are, to bring up in this service another shooting. What strikes me, of course there are others that have just happened, but since this one involved the former president, it certainly makes the news, more news than the others. What struck me this morning as I was driving here is how cynical it is to use all of that, and the people are saying they tried to put him in jail and now they just want to kill him, or things like that, or it's been blamed on President Biden already. They screamed at the media yesterday, "You caused this." What a victory of propaganda all of that is. So we've got a few months to save the world, if you ask me. Not just democracy in America, but the world as we know it. We have a few days now to decide a whole lot of things, it seems. And I'm going to I'll stop talking about that now, because I'll bet we've all talked about it plenty. Well-funded lies, well-funded propaganda, propagating of hate. Put those along with the well-funded denial of climate emergency, or even denial of evolution, or denial of truth, and denial of even history. These are challenging times. The investment in ignorance costs a lot. Scientists give us a decade or two before we destroy the life support system of this earth. It is already too late in some places. Much is already lost. We said, we're going to talk about peace today. The relevant thing for me that I'm going to stick to and shorten this, don't worry, is the barriers to peace. There are many studies. Here's the results of many studies. Poverty is usually the most important element. Not religion. Religion is used, but wars are between the haves and the have-nots. One example of perhaps success, we could say, in Burundi, there was rich agriculture, but totally unequal access. And so, a war. Then after that, there was a peace process. The lack of access was eased by the creation of financial inclusion. Ordinary people learned how to start savings groups. Even as the wars and difficulties still went on, what began as a literacy program to try to solve inequities showed that poverty was behind every inequality. And the lack of education, of course, number two, affects health, longevity, social mobility, communication, all that. So solve the lack of education. Well, now let's get back to those men in the shadows, and they're men, pretty much, who have invested in the ignorance of America. And they are figuring they can buy the country and get out of our way and let us make as much money as we can. Their God is money. That sounds too simple. So it's a lack of communication. Education alone doesn't necessarily fix this, although great education programs have been shown to alleviate so much poverty and so on. Where even during the Burundi War, groups came together to talk. Some visionary people, courageous people, made that possible. And the way to peace became clear for some people. So it strikes me we need to create that safe place where words are heard and don't become violence. Another appalling or disconcerting study for me was that, you might have heard this as I heard it on NPR, and then I bought the book. A study of the richest families of the world. Of course, they will deny it, but the richest families of the world see themselves as superior beings. Smarter, yes, they are racist. They deny it, of course. They see the poor as dirty and stupid and lucky they're given a job. The ruling class sees equity as a loss. Maybe as much of a loss of wealth, it's the loss of power, perceived power. We need to help them see differently. Wait, that could be us that I'm talking about. As COVID persisted, I'll admit that as a musician, I panicked trying to figure out what to do, how to make a living, as continue to survive as a musician. Now things have changed a lot since then, but I decided, here's just an example. I decided to talk to a business advisor. He was sold to me as enlightened, holistic, even having been counterculture before, and that appealed to me. Listing my priorities, I said I was working to get out a Get Out the Vote song before the last election and make a video, and it was urgent. His response was, well, Jim, every election people say it's the most important one ever, and so apparently he feels himself unaffected by what is going on, and by the possible demise of democracy as we know it. Then he said, there's always been starving people in the world. Okay, that's it. I'm not working with you. These people are not smart. They are not well-read. They have degrees, and they think they're educated, but they live in an echo chamber. Exactly why should we continue to have starving people? I call this the ignorance of privilege. This guy's relatively untouched, so safe from folks who say the election was stolen, unaffected by those who say there was no insurrection or invasion of the Capitol, for folks who want to take away a woman's right to care for her own body, folks who want to take away the right to vote. This man will keep building his resume in IRA. These are ignorant but good folks. These are our neighbors, our family. They are not the enemy. That is a mistake for us to think that they are the enemy, though they can be dangerous. Mainstreaming lies endangers us. There is no option. This is it. Here's the sermon. There is no option but interaction. But I don't even like those people. They don't like me. I can't stand to talk to them. They're so full of... It's the only way. It is the only way. And talk is therapy, but talk involves listening. For it to be healing, the communication of some reality, truth, and communication of, say, the pain, the suffering that comes with being oppressed can change a heart and eventually a mind. I know you don't want to. I don't either. But we need to make an art of our arguments for life, love, sustainability, peace. This is loving communication. It takes courage. It doesn't need to be done in anger. As a matter of fact, that'll help nothing. I didn't say it was easy. There's another page and a half here, but I'm going to spare you that. And that seems like a good place to stop. Oh, and sing you this song. I am waiting in the silence. I am waiting for the dawn. I am often found in reverence, though from many sources drawn. It is not mine to fight for justice, for it will not be won this day. I am peace, and I am waiting for the lost to find their way. You'll not find me set in judgment of the vain or of the weak, but I rise to meet the weary with the solace that they seek. Still I have not fed the hungry, nor strewn wealth among the poor. I am peace, and bring but mystery, and the patience to endure. I cannot save the suffering from their anger and their pain. Only open doors of insight, so the healing comes again. To the proud I am elusive, to the humble I am near. May the broken rise and look beyond the trappings of their fears. I am found among the seasons, autumn's death and spring's rebirth, as relentless their momentum as the turning of the earth. All are welcome in my presence, for only love can conquer hate. I am peace, and for the harvest I have planted and will wait.